It is 7 o'clock, so I'd like to call the Tuesday, August 27th council meeting to order. Mr. Peterson, could you lead us in the pledge, please?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all for coming this evening. Ms. Lees, could you do the roll call, please?
Mr. Boyce?
Present.
Mr. Hampton?
Here.
Mr. Jensen? Mr. Johnson? Mr. O'Connor?
Present.
Mr. Peterson?
Here.
Mr. Taylor?
Present.
Ms. Wiles?
Here.
Mr. Ayer?
Present.
Mr. President, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Approval of the minutes of the August 13th, 2019 special session. I thought we approved those last. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. Approval of the minutes of the August 13th, 2019 meeting.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. Approval of the minutes of the August 20th, 2019 special session.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor, raise your hand. Abstain. We got 6 with 1 abstention. Approval of the agenda.
Mr. President,
Ms. Wiles,
I would make a motion that we amend the agenda since the mayor is not here and there will not be a mayor's report to council unless Mr. Howard's planning on doing it. That we remove that item from our agenda this evening.
Second.
That's
a lot of seconds.
To amend the agenda. Do we have a hand vote on the amendment? All those in favor, raise your hand.
Mr. President,
Ms. Wiles,
I would make a motion that we approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
moved and seconded. All those in favor, raise your hand. Petitions or comments by citizens who are present? I have none. If anybody would like to say anything, there's a comment card out there. Please fill it out. Tonight would be a good night. And we do not have a mayor's report, but I will report that the mayor and Mr. Jensen are at the AIM Ideas Summit. And for those of you who don't know and want to guess what AIM means, I had to Google it. Accelerated Indiana Municipalities Summit. And I know the mayor attends quite often, and both Mr. Jensen do, and they seem to get a lot out of it. So we wish them a lot of fun down in French Lick, Indiana this week.
It'll be a tough job.
Yeah. Council committee reports. Mr. Peterson.
Thank you. The Downtown District Committee met on August 19th. We reviewed the funds since we started the Downtown District Committee. We have quite a bit of capacity left in 19, and we're going to evaluate where we're at in 19 to start 2020 out right, revisit the Downtown District Plan. Alley activation is getting started. They're timing some of the archway installations with Seminary Park. I think Seminary Park starts pretty soon. I saw some trucks out there. The Levinson project, it's on hold for a little bit. The Noblesville Now website should give you further updates on that. They're regrouping based on the sheet piling, delivery, the way it's being delivered. The furniture is being installed, and that's it. That's all I got. Missed something?
Furniture's being installed where?
What?
Furniture's being
Oh,
installed
the
where?
light fixtures are coming online, the furniture, the benches, the planters.
Around the square.
Yeah, around the square.
Not for the Levinson.
I ran those together, thank you.
Outdoor furniture.
I think we all were like,
Not yet.
Right. I should have a comma in there, sorry.
Any other committee reports? Ms. Wiles?
Mr. President, the Finance Committee met on August 20th, and we talked about the appropriation for parking kiosk, which is an item on our agenda this evening, so I won't go into that into great detail. We continue to evaluate how our assessed valuation is growing and how that has an impact on our city budget going forward. Mr. Spalding did talk about the possibility financing a co-op revenue bond from 2009 that could provide an estimated total savings of over $347,000, which would be a wonderful thing for the city. He is working on putting together a city master debt summary to be able to share with all council members, and then ultimately being up. Another one of the items that's on our agenda for this evening is a recommendation that's coming from the Downtown District Committee that then went to the Finance Committee, is to be able to recommend a transfer from the Downtown District Fund for up to $75,000 for improvements at Seminary Park. And then the claims were also reviewed with a recommendation from the Finance Committee. And with that, I'll make a motion to approve the claims.
Second.
Been moved and seconded for approval of claims. All those in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries 7-0. Previously discussed ordinances. Council to consider ordinance and ordinance approving additional appropriation from the parking meter fund to replace and upgrade existing parking meter equipment as amended. Mr. Spalding.
Yeah, Mr. President, members of the council, yes, ordinance 360819 as amended is before you. It's the second time you've seen this, but with the amendments, it's slightly different. The previous version had the appropriation that's still in here for the $84,100 for the funds to purchase the new parking meter equipment, and then discussion since our last meeting around the issue of funding for some additional signs associated supporting the parking, as well as some maintenance of those various city parking lots, pavement improvements, restriping, that type of thing. So the new amended ordinance, and there is a marked up version that you were provided, basically adds an $11,000 appropriation for the signs, and that appropriation is to the police department, just as the appropriation for the parking meter equipment is, and then a $55,000 appropriation, again, from the parking meter fund to the street department to do those lot pavement maintenance work. And I can answer more questions about that, but that's basically what's here. It's an amendment to provide more funding from the fund to do things associated with getting the city prepared for new parking meter equipment.
If anybody has any questions for Mr. Spalding or Mr. Arnold with the police department or Ms. Johnson with the street department, they're all here to answer those. I did pass out some information regarding the signage part, which is approximately $11,000, and that does include signing the county parking lots along with all the city. And they're going to a color code, which I think is a much better system and a much easier to understand system. So if anybody has any questions,
Mr. President,
Ms. Wells?
I would just make a comment that I think that it's beneficial for us to go ahead and pay for those signs for the county lots, because we want to have that cohesive look downtown, and by us going ahead and moving forward with that purchase, we're making sure that we're getting the information out to the residents as we would like for them to do. And again, from the Downtown District Committee, we like having that cohesive look.
President,
Mr. O'Connor?
just a quick question for Patty. Is the appropriation amount, do you feel that's adequate?
Yes, we're not going to, it's not going to be actually repaving the lots. The lots are in pretty good condition. It is going to be crack sealing and then a product called Liquid Road. If you've ever been in Brighton Knoll subdivision, they have Liquid Road down on their subdivision. It's a preservative that helps lengthen the life of the asphalt. So it's held up really well for us in there, so we feel like it would be a good option to use in this case. And we've got quotes for it, so that's where we came up with so it's not repaving.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure you had enough to
Yes.
get the job done so you didn't have to come back.
No, we will not be back. For this.
They'll use black paint if they need to.
Yeah, exactly.
Any other questions?
Mr. President,
Ms. Wiles?
I make a motion that we approve,
Have to amend it first.
I would make a motion that we amend ordinance number 3608-19 as presented.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor of amending the ordinance, raise your hand. Motion carries 7-0.
Mr. President,
Ms. Wiles?
I would make a motion that we approve ordinance number 3608-19 as amended.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Ms. Lees, would you do a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Boyce?
Aye.
Mr. Hampton?
Aye.
Mr. O'Connor?
Aye.
Mr. Peterson?
Aye.
Taylor?
Aye.
Ms. Wiles?
Aye.
Mr. Air?
Aye.
7-0, the ordinance is adopted.
Thank you. Transfer number one, council consider transfer TA-12-19 appropriation transfer in the Downtown Development Fund to allocate funds to the Parks Department for improvements to Seminary Park. Mr. Spalding.
Yes, Mr. President, members of the council, another fiscal action here, slightly different than the last. The last one was an additional appropriation, appropriating money from the fund. This is an appropriation transfer. Funds were already appropriated in this fund with the 2019 budget. And if you recall, basically the way we do this from a budgetary standpoint is we appropriate $500,000 to the contingency reserve within the fund, and then as projects are identified, that appropriation is transferred from the contingency reserve to the appropriate department. In this case, it is to support some capital improvements at Seminary Park. There's additional funding. The full cost of the project is more than this, but this fills in a gap in the funding, and Brandon Bennett can clarify any questions you have about that. And then the last fiscal part of this is that, and it mentions this in the resolution, the current balance in that contingency reserve is $375,000. So this is moving $75,000 of that $375,000 to the Parks Department budget for this project. There's any other questions?
Any questions of Mr. Spalding?
Now, Mr. President, Mr. Bennett was good enough to join us this evening, so I'm curious as to timing, and can you just give us an update on where things are? And sounds like some things are moving, but
Yeah, we anticipate getting underway really in the next week or so out there. Project is still anticipated to be ready to go by early November, in time for the lighting down there at Seminary Park that was started last year. So I made a promise that would happen, and I'm going to do everything I can to make that happen. Myers is the contractor on this job, and they're also trying to finish up Finch Creek for us. And they're also doing the Charters of Freedom project for us as well. So they're working those three and trying to get everything done here in the next 6 to 8 weeks. So that's the timeline we're looking at. I might also add that this request for funding is a not to exceed, and I really don't anticipate using all of it, but it does give us a little bit of cushion in case we find some unknowns out there. Plus, we're still working with local sponsors and local businesses to try and reduce some of those costs. So I expect that we will be in very good shape on this project, and something I think you all will be proud of.
I have a question.
Mr. Taylor?
Are we still doing this in phases?
The first phase, if you will, is going to be the majority of the project, because we wanted to make sure we didn't have to come back and dig anything, so we're getting all the infrastructure in now. Anything we do beyond that may be the addition of some artwork and those types of things. It may be a playground later on down the road, those types of things that we pulled out of it right now. So yes, we are doing it in phases, but this first phase will make it a very usable park that you're going to see a definite improvement in. Yes, sir.
Any other questions? Mr. Peterson?
Part of the reason the Downtown District Committee recommended this transfer was because of the consistency of some of the designs. A lot of things that Brandon's doing, rather than pick out a whole new set of trash cans and benches and light fixtures, just for consistency's sake, is really what this is about.
Do you anticipate any of this, maybe for Ms. Johnson? traffic flow disruption, or is everything going to be internal to the park, or will the roads be?
I don't anticipate any traffic flow disruption, especially on 10th Street. On the side roads, they're fairly wide enough that if they're going to probably have some construction traffic in there, but I don't anticipate there being any interruption in traffic over there at all. Yes, sir.
Any other questions?
Mr. President,
Mr. O'Connor.
I'd make a motion that we approve TA-12-19.
Second. That's all we need.
I was ready, but that beat me. Holy cow.
All right. It's been moved and seconded to approve transfer TA-12-19. All those in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you very much.
I'm impressed.
Council to consider resolution RC 10-19, a resolution approving and adopting an interlocal agreement. Mr. Howard.
This interlocal agreement is with Hamilton County concerning the youth assistance program. The city has been a participant in this program for many years. The idea of this program is to work with the judges and probation department and try to intervene early with certain at-risk juveniles. The funds, right now there's $65,000 in the 2019 budget. It was supposed, under this, it's to be paid before March 1st, and I think Judge Nation, in his spare time, being retired, finally got this agreement to us. The money is already in your budget and ready to be paid. These funds are used to pay the costs of the caseworkers. The caseworkers are basically administered under the county personnel policy, and the county is responsible for paying them, withholding, et cetera, and they're subject to the personnel policy of the county. The primary participants in managing this are the judges, judge of the circuit court and Superior 1, it's Mr. Casati in Superior 1, and Paul Felix in circuit court. This agreement is also a little different than you've had in the past in that it continues from year to year unless there's notice provided to opt out, and whatever you budget in your budget process automatically becomes the payment in subsequent years. As far as, I think we are, even at 65,000, we're lower than the other three municipalities and have at least equal to and more, maybe greater than demands from our community. So with that, I'll stop and answer any questions that I can, and would ask for your approval of the resolution and signature on the interlocal agreement.
Mr. President,
Mr. Boyce.
I'll make a motion to approve miscellaneous number 1, RC-10-19.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve resolution RC-10-19. All those in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you.
Any council comments? Any other business? With that, do I have a motion?
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned.